We have new footage obtained by CNN of the shooting in Minneapolis, and it's from a different angle, not seen before. And we're going to play it for you now and then discuss.
As the vehicle passes, you can see the dark-colored SUV driven by Renee Nicole Good. That's on the right there in the back. The surveillance video taken by a home nearby. Agents can be seen milling about near the vehicle, then converging on it. And then you see right there the SUV begins to move, and that's when the shots are fired.
So this footage was obtained from a neighbor's home, ring cam, I believe. And thank goodness for those, because it just gives us one more lens on this incident. And one of the big questions or sticking points that I hear is that the agent was in the way of the car, and therefore that is giving the excuse that she tried to ram him. Well, if we look at the video, if that's the case, then why in this frame right here do we see him actually approaching towards the vehicle as it passes? So right there you can see he's actually not jumping out of the way of the vehicle, but instead he's moving towards it. So let me play it again frame by frame here. Right there you can see he's moving towards the vehicle. Now if he was trying to get out of the way for supposedly, saving himself from being hit, he would be going the opposite direction. He'd be going to the right of the screen. But as we can see here, when the car clears the path in this frame, he's heading towards the vehicle, firing continuously at it, 3 shots total. And 2 of those shots actually went through her window, which was open. So again, if he is trying to defend himself from being run over from a car in front of him, why is he moving towards the vehicle, and why is he continuing to fire through the passenger window? Those are my 2 big questions at the moment, Mike. In addition to, all the other points of evidence that we have here that this lady was murdered in cold blood. I want to go over just a few of them. Before this video, we know that she was waving on cars to pass. That is clear. We can show that for you guys, but if you've seen almost all of the video from the other side of this scene, they show her waving on cars to pass. So if her goal was to run someone over or intent to murder or kill someone, why would she be waving on officers to pass her by? The other big contention is, why was she pulling to the right? Why did she turn her wheels and go to the right when the officer was on her left? If she was trying to run him over, why would she be pulling the opposite direction to the officer? She would be going straight or to the left if her intent was to run him over. Again, the shots, we talked about this briefly, but the officer fired 1 shot through the front windshield, and I want to show you guys again an image of that here. Look at this bullet hole. This bullet hole cannot be made from someone who's in front of the vehicle. This bullet hole can only be made from someone who's on the side, and that's exactly where the officer was, pointing the gun straight at her, probably her face or her chest. There is no way this bullet hole could have been made from the front. Look at the angle that it's coming in from. Furthermore, after that shot was fired, the first shot, he fired 2 more shots through her passenger window. The only way to do that is if you're clearly on the side of the vehicle. And at that point, how is your life in danger if you're clear of the path of the vehicle? Your intent at that point is murder, in my opinion, is you're shooting to kill. After the fact, we see footage of the agent walking away from the scene. I mean, he approaches the car very briefly, and then he walks back to his vehicle totally unscathed, like no signs of injury. No, he's not limping. He seems totally fine. He signals to the other officers, like, let's get out of here, like call the ambulance, let's go. And he's walking away to the SUV perfectly fine. Meanwhile, in Trump's immediate response to this, he's talking about how it's a miracle that this guy's alive, and we should be so grateful and thankful that he made it to the hospital. And it's like, dude, he's just walking down the street. Like, he's leaving the scene almost nonchalantly, like just absolute absurdity. And then the other point that we can see from the other footage is he's holding a phone in his left hand. He's recording the lady while apparently his life is being threatened and he's about to get run over. And he still manages to keep holding the phone while supposedly he's like trying to get out of the way from being rammed by a car that they're calling a weapon. Mike, I don't know how people can make light of the situation and defend the agent to the point where, you know, even the feds are trying to stop local agencies from investigating the scene independently. Like, clearly they're trying to defend and cover up something. Why would you block state officials from investigating on top of your own investigation? What do you make of all the stuff that we're seeing and all this analysis here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious reason why they're trying to make it a federal case and not a state one is because, number one, they have more jurisdiction, more say, more control. But two, and probably the most important, in my opinion, is that if it's made federal, then he can be pardoned. Trump could just pardon him. So if it's kept state level, Trump cannot pardon him. We saw this in Colorado not too long ago, where Trump tried to pardon somebody who committed crimes in Colorado, but he was unable to. And that's a whole other topic. But anyway, the point is we've already seen that practice once. So clearly they would probably try to do it here, because if this man is convicted of murder, then this completely changes. Like it has to, like ICE has to change up. Otherwise, you've got like state sanctioned murder and blah, blah, blah. So there's huge implications here that hinge on this case. And of course, the DOJs and DHS, they're going to want to control this as much as they possibly can to prevent damage control. Personally speaking, again, my opinion here, I believe it's murder. I think devil's advocate, like best case, like I don't necessarily believe that he came out thinking like, oh, I'm going to kill somebody today. And like I don't think he's bloodthirsty, but I do think that he, number one, overreacted. Number two, there's reports that he had a previous encounter earlier in 2025 where he was dragged by a vehicle. So clearly there's like some trauma left over there. So all of those things I don't think are excuses. Like I don't think it excuses the behavior, but it allows me to understand, okay, yeah, I could see why he would be afraid. But this again points to bad training, in my opinion, because not a single other officer drew their weapon. Only he did. So to me, this shows that he's very jumpy. He's very, overreactive, and he's not safe. He's clearly not safe. So at the very least, he should lose his job. But personally, I think he should be prosecuted just based off of all the evidence that we're seeing. And I know that sucks. I know that if I were in that situation, maybe I would have done it the same. I don't know. But the problem is you specifically took the job. You took the job, you put yourself in that position, and then you pulled the trigger. You have to be held accountable. It's that simple. Your actions have consequences. If you're not up to those consequences, don't take the job or get better training or something. But to sit here and say like, hey man, it's the cost of doing business or something. It's like, no, even if you believe that what she was doing is wrong, even if you think she was impeding ICE when she clearly wasn't, at the very least, it would be a traffic violation. That's not worth the death penalty. It's simply not. Police deal with this all the time, and some police use excessive force and kill people when they shouldn't. But in most cases, you don't see people being shot in droves when they flee like a speeding ticket scene. So I just think no matter which way you skin this guy has to be held accountable. I mean, like we've pointed out, his feet were clearly to the side. He's clearly holding the phone, has no problem making moves with this. And then he walks without a limp, uninjured seemingly, walks to the car, walks back, and then gets in his car and leaves. So, if he was almost run over, like the fact that Trump came out so quickly to say, man, this guy, from what I saw, he was being run over and he was in the hospital. And then there also, I believe it was Kristi Noem who first used the language of calling this woman a domestic terrorist. Like this entire narrative that they're building before there's any evidence out there at all to show or confirm anything is extremely irresponsible. It incites, I wouldn't say violence, but it incites an an absurd level of skepticism of like, hey, let's not believe our eyes and ears. We have to question what we're seeing because Trump said something and I believe Trump. Like I don't know. It's very, very frustrating to see. This is obviously very tragic. And I think this new video that we're seeing here from this ring cam shines an interesting perspective on it because you can see that he's unfazed when the car moves by. He's not hit. There's no like body movement of twisting or anything like that. And as you mentioned, he's holding his phone and his feet are to the side and he's firing directly from the side. So again, even if you fire the one shot because you were sort of in front, even though he was leaning over the hood, like there's no excuse to fire the other two shots. So I think at the end of the day, it's just poor training or this guy's just a complete incompetent idiot and needs to be gone. So I hope we see justice. I question if we will. There's a lot of pressure on this case, but I hope we see justice because this isn't the first time Minneapolis has been through this. This is also where George Floyd started up, and we saw how that went when there was no justice. So hopefully we see something happen here soon.
Yeah, if his prior incident with the dragging of the car gave him some trauma, that should be evaluated before he goes back out into the field, in my opinion. We can't have officers and federal agents who are running on redlining the whole time and are always on edge because that's going to result in innocent people dying, just like what happened. The other thing is like they're trying to push for immunity for this guy. I guess for all ICE agents, like they want him to be immune, like Trump is immune for being president kind of stuff. And to me, that is just insane. Like that is a huge red flag right there. When the state is pushing for immunity on its federal agents to be able on its masked and unidentifiable federal agents already, like they're already protected because they don't have to show their faces or nor do they have to show their names. And now they're pushing for another layer, the biggest layer of just immunity from this, which I think is crazy. The other crazy thing to me is the fact that they're not mandated to wear body cams. Like that should be a must have on every law enforcement officer from police to ICE to, Border Patrol. Everyone should have body cams because that alone can be the difference, the piece of evidence that shows between guilty or innocent. That alone could be the strongest piece of evidence.
We've also got conflicting stories where the president says, oh, these are paid agitators, blah, blah, blah. And then when J.D. Vance was asked about it, he said he was specifically asked, do you think they were paid agitators? He says, no, I don't think there's any evidence to support that. So already you've got a conflict there. But the bigger concern to me is that J.D. Vance was talking on a Fox News interview about ramping up ICE after this shooting and how ICE would in the coming months be going door to door. And that's extremely alarming because as it is, ICE has already been doing Gestapo tactics. And now they're literally going to be going door to door like the Gestapo in a few months. I mean, we need to see accountability. That's all. Like, I don't think people have, even most Democrats, I would say, not all, but most, I would say, believe that immigration laws should be upheld. So if there is, some sort of customs agency or immigration agency, I don't think they have a problem with those people deporting people if they deserve it or if they're violent or whatever. But the problem is the techniques and methodology that's being used here. They're literally kidnapping people at their court hearings where they show up to be heard in front of a judge about their immigration status. So if you're for legalizing people, why are you doing that? Why are you denaturalizing people? And to just see things escalate as clearly as they are is ridiculous because at the end of the day, it's a civil offense, not a criminal offense to be an illegal immigrant. So I don't know, man. There's a whole lot to be said on it. But just to see ICE behave the way they do without accountability, because Obama deported more people than Trump has in both terms, but it was never as violent as this from what I can tell. There was never this level of abuse. It's widely documented that these people are behaving like thugs. It doesn't matter. It even doesn't matter if you are a citizen or not, because as we saw, Renee Good, rest in peace, she was a U.S. citizen. So, we need to be careful, and we need to pay attention to what they're doing, because it's only going to get worse.